I'm just trying to get over the fact that Cam is over here listening to Lakers press conferences, like not watching old Lakers games, not watching LeBron highlights, not watching analysis of the team. Cam's just in here straight up watching Lakers press conferences, like the boring, like, hey LeBron, what are your guys' goals for the season? Hey LeBron, you got Carmelo Anthony on the team now, huh? That's pretty cool. Like, Cam, how many hours of your day have you spent with Lakers press conferences open on your phone?
Uh, since the press conferences start, let's just put it like that. Huge Lakers fan. Late show, baby. We're gonna win the ring this year.
I want to do a test. You and PJ are going to be members of the Los Angeles media.
Yeah.
As PJ Zuko joins us here on Second Down, you guys be members of the Los Angeles Lakers media. You guys get to choose which Lakers player I am.
Oh Lord.
Who am I? What Cam's in here watching Lakers press conferences.
Yeah.
Like preseason press conferences.
Who's even on the Lakers anymore? Like pick a high profile basketball player from like 2011. They're probably on the Lakers.
Yeah.
All right. So again,
but that's interesting.
Which player am I?
Player.
Yep. You want me to read the roster?
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be a good help. Yeah.
Westbrook, Ariza, Ellington, AD, Rondo. You said THT. I don't know. Again, I still don't know who that is. LeBron, Melo, Bazemore, DeAndre, Monk, Nunn, and Dwight Howard. Pick a player. Just come on. Just throw one at me.
In what way?
Just,
like,
no,
are we
just
talking
seriously.
about
Just
like in what?
name a player, and that's who I am. And then you guys are going to ask me press conference questions.
Okay.
I thought we were like doing like the compare.
No. My
bad.
Nah, LeBron's boring. General question.
Nah, he's Yeah.
Westbrook.
Okay,
Yeah.
hit me.
That's the first
Let's
one.
go.
I go
Hit me
to.
with some questions. Go, Cam.
Okay.
You're a Los Angeles Lakers beat reporter.
This is not how I
reporter.
expected.
I am
Second
former
Town to go today.
MVP Russell Westbrook.
I was not ready.
Okay.
Triple double
Not ready.
record holder.
Okay. You spent the last 4 or 5 years, only 1 year, in OKC, Houston, Washington. You've only made it out the first round 1 year. What's your expectations this year? Obviously, you want a championship. We know that, but how do you see yourself fitting in with the Lakers this year?
My number one goal is to come out here and be a team player.
Okay.
You have LeBron, AD, Carmelo. They're all Hall of Famers. So I just want to come out here. I just want to be a part of this team. We obviously want to win championships, and it just starts right here in preseason. We got to come out here and work together as a team, figure out our spacing, figure out who's going to be carrying the ball off the court. But number one goal, win a championship.
Okay.
So you were with the Lakers, you win a championship, you move across town or across the hallway to the Clippers, basically, right? Last year. And now you come back to the Lakers. What was the big problem with the Clippers, man?
He thinks you're talking about Rondo.
Yeah, I'm not Rondo, man. I'm
that's Russell Westbrook over there.
I'm Russell Westbrook.
I had Rondo in my head when you went to
man.
see.
Look, you're playing for the hometown.
I
man.
was not ready for
You're
this.
playing for your hometown.
It's always important to represent where you're from, and I'm excited to be back in Los Angeles. Staples Center. Kobe used to play here. Shaq used to play here. I mean, it's a staple. Get it? Because it's the Staples Center. It's a staple of sports history. I mean, it's so bad, Cam. What did you learn today by sitting there and listening to these press conferences?
I learned that Russell Westbrook is not.
I did
Rondo.
learn one thing.
Yeah.
That Anthony Davis is actually playing center this year. I did learn that, and they
said that. They say that,
but
though,
they said it last year,
that.
the year before. They needed to do it because when he's at center, they're unstoppable.
I don't want to do Lakers talk here. What I want to talk about is press conferences in general. It's just like,
all right.
I want to clip that first question.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
And then compare it to the transcript of what Russell Westbrook actually said, because I haven't seen it.
It's probably pretty close. Yeah.
Exactly. We know what they're going to say.
Interview them yet.
Press conferences are boring. I do think it's important, though. I do think it's important inside of press conferences to record them, because every now and then you get the gold where people just freak out, or you have coaches talking about we need dogs, we don't need no cats. We need dogs.
Of course.
So you have to tape every press conference. But you don't have to watch them. You have to wait until the person who is forced to watch them then clips them up, because that is what their responsibility is as reporters, is to sit through that and then clip it up with the pertinent information and just sift through the baloney
Can I tell you why I watched it?
because you're just excited
I just know this is the Lakers' last chance.
Oh, shut it down. Hold on. We got to stop. I don't know why he's handing these to me because I already got my Apple copy, but I'm just going to hold them up. Look. Oh, it's the Ben Troop. Uncommon and unfinished.
Need
The
him
Ben
signed.
Troop story. He just like ran in here and threw books at us and left.
Got it out.
I'm
got it
excited. No, you can purchase these. Look up uncommon and unfinished. I'll just Google it. I think that's the easiest way to do it because Ben and BJ have been really old people about this where they're
Super.
like, Christian, will you help me put a link in a tweet? Can we do more than one link in a tweet? What is happening in here? And so I've had to help them with all that. But no, straight up, you can. The Ben Troop story is pretty phenomenal. Ben Troop with BJ Bennett have published a book. I am holding 5 legitimate copies of said book in my hands, and you can purchase your copy either digitally or order online as well. You go to Amazon, you go to Target. If you have an iPhone and you read like me on your iPhone, you can do it at Apple Books. So I mean, we got uncommon, unfinished. We'll see if in a break we can get Bennett here to talk about it some more. But I will say this, Cam, because we're making fun of your press conferences, and I think the reason you're watching is just because you're excited.
It's our last chance.
We are forcing college. We are forcing college football on you, but you and your heart are an NBA person.
No, I love college football.
No, you love Georgia.
No, I love college football.
We are forcing our weirdness of like give it a year and a half or so, PJ, and Cam will be texting us and be like, "Hey, you guys stay up for this UNLV Hawaii game."
I hope so.
Have you guys seen what's happening out there?
You might not. But I mean, yeah, everybody knows.
Cam might be done with college football after his boy Bo Nix got benched. I mean, if
Yeah,
Bo
that
Nix
hurt.
gets benched and Spencer Rattler gets benched,
Yeah, I might
gonna
go
be
on
all
a
right?
frenzy. I mean, Sam Howell just got boat raced by Georgia.
But I will say
All I'm
this.
saying is, would you rather Bo Nix get benched or Auburn lose to Georgia State? I mean, because that's what was going to happen.
yeah, it's true.
Anyway,
Hey, as long as Bo
But
plays.
no, PJ, I was going to say this, and you're not quite as bad about this because you're a Big Ten fan.
okay, whatever.
but I'm not saying that as a curse word.
I'm saying
that's probably you're healthier than we are.
how I'm used to it.
We get equally excited for SEC Media Days as you were for those press conferences. I'll say that.
Yeah, man.
I drove to and from to Birmingham and back to go listen to coaches go, we're going to come in here. Our goal is to beat Alabama and win the SEC championship. So, but number one, we have to start with our program.
I usually never
course.
watch press conferences now that I say I'm a part of the media now, but also I just know it's the Lakers. It's their last chance.
You can say you're
Literally.
a part of the media. Just don't say we're not journalists.
No, we're not
I will
journalists.
say that.
Yeah, calm
We're
down.
not journalists.
We
no.
like to talk about sports.
Yeah,
That's
I like to
Yeah,
talk.
we are
not right.
commentators.
right.
Not right. Commentators, talent, etc.
I don't know. Talent might be a stretch too for me. at
That's
least.
yeah.
I'm not going to speak about you guys, but for me, talent might be a stretch.
No, I mean, I think that's a stretch for a lot of us. Now, well, wait a minute. Talk to Kevin about the things he can do on a football field or a basketball court. Now that's talent. But what we do,
I'll talk to Kevin
We'll
about
see.
it. But PJ, we didn't have a chance to have you on the show yesterday, Mondays, PJ's rest day,
yeah,
because he's
yeah.
working for the other 6. Your impressions from this college football weekend? What stood out to you? I mean, I know you're just locked into Penn State, Villanova.
What the amazing thing is I was pretty happy. I didn't have to be
You
locked.
guys remember what great Falcons wide receiver went to Villanova?
No, I honestly don't.
Cam?
I know I should.
B-Fin, baby. Brian Finner, an 8'6". Get after it. Villanova.
That's a good one.
There
Sorry,
you
carry
go.
on, PJ.
No,
That's
that's cool.
a good one.
Like I said, wasn't 100%. I will say, had congratulations to my buddy. Well, beforehand,
Okay.
my buddy Jacob's getting married here soon. So Saturday, pretty much all day was.
I was going to say, PJ said,
yeah.
why watch college football
Yeah, no, I
when
can
I
keep
can
track
live
of
a
it
normal life?
on my phone. Yeah, so I lived kind of a normal life and hung out with him and some buddies all day. So we were kind of out of touch for the noon games. Now I'll say I did try and keep track of that. It certainly kept track of the end. of that Wisconsin and Notre Dame game.
That was
which,
wild. We didn't talk
geez,
about this
just-
yesterday.
Yeah.
That game was
It got bad in a heartbeat.
it was like 17-14 Wisconsin in the fourth quarter.
Yes.
And then the final score was 41-17, I believe.
That fourth quarter was a massacre. I think 2 pick sixes.
Yeah, Graham Mertz just imploded.
Yeah.
Like a nuclear reactor,
like,
Yeah,
when
for
did-
sure.
self-destruction.
Now
I
I'll say
couldn't
I did
believe it.
also watch a lot of that and keep track a lot of that Texas A&M Arkansas game, and I'll say that I came on here and was like I think 2-2 through this 4-game stretch for Arkansas is what they should be looking for. 3-1 would be a godsend. With how they played on Saturday, even with a backup
I wanted to
quarterback
talk
coming in
about
the game,
this.
we'll see.
We're on the
We'll see.
precipice of.
Well, I mean, I think that it's one game, right? It's one win.
No, do you
So,
know we're on the precipice
You don't want
of?
to. No.
We are on the precipice of 2 games fall in line of number 1 Arkansas at number 2 Ole Miss next
Oh my
week.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
If Ole Miss beats Alabama,
Yeah, they're going
and
straight
if
to number
Georgia,
one.
or if
Yeah.
Arkansas beats Georgia,
That'd be the wildest thing I've seen in a very
we're
long
talking about
time.
5-0 Arkansas traveling to take on 5-0 Ole Miss.
We're not too far removed, though. Like, people forget about this. Everyone always, and I've been guilty of it. I talk about 2007 a lot and how insane
as
that
you
year
should.
was, which was crazy. But we're not too far from removed from a time when Ole Miss and Mississippi State were number one.
They,
And
weren't they 1-2?
right?
They were number 1 and number 2 in the
I think that was
inaugural
the-
first ever college football playoff ranking.
yeah,
Because you had Dak Prescott
Yeah.
and
slinging
um,
around for Mississippi State in 2014. Was it Bo
the
Wallace?
Bo Wallace,
Oh, wow.
yeah.
Yeah.
There would
Because they had just beat Alabama.
Who was the wide
Right.
receiver?
At Ole
there? It
Miss.
was a good wide receiver they had.
They had a
Was it
few.
Oh,
Treadwell
Laquan
or-
Treadwell,
Yeah,
and
Treadwell,
what
yeah.
you had the terrible situation with him
Mhm.
where they were playing Auburn. He got
Mhm.
injured while scoring a touchdown. I think if that doesn't happen, that's a very different result for their season. But no, I mean, people talk about that. Who knows, man? That could happen. It's a very good possibility. But I will say I was impressed. Do I think maybe they can go through 3-1 through this stretched out if they play their best football? But I was impressed with their offense being able to still click with a backup quarterback coming in the game. I will say though, I'm not going to take any huge takeaways from their defense playing well against Texas A&M because A&M's offense hasn't looked good all year. So
No, and here's what worried me during that game is it was 17-3 Arkansas, and Isaiah Spiller breaks off that 75-yard touchdown run.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it's 17-10, and you're like, this is gonna be lame.
mhm.
This and he broke off that run, and KJ Jefferson had just gone into the injury tent.
Yeah.
And
So you're
their
like,
offense
oh.
stalled out, and basically they were just able to milk the clock the rest of the way, just
Yeah.
pounding the rock and playing that umbrella defense. I think Arkansas is going to give Georgia everything they want. Do I think it's going to be what a lot of people say, where it's going to be, Georgia's going to be sleepy, it's noon? No. You got game
Right.
day in town.
Yeah.
You're going to have a bunch of college students who are out on Friday night, the night before. And then, getting home at like 3-4 o'clock in the morning, and you have to like get dressed and changed and get ready. Because if you're not over to game day by 7 o'clock, you're not going to get a good spot.
No.
So
yeah.
again, college kids doing what college kids do on a Friday night in
Yeah.
Athens, going home, maybe going home, changing, shoveling food in their mouth, and then going to game day, and then proceeding directly from game day into Sanford Stadium.
Yeah.
Sanford Stadium is going to be rowdy.
Mhm.
Is this JT Daniels' biggest game
Yeah,
of his career?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think now
Yeah.
that we've seen what Clemson has become,
Yeah. This is a big one, man.
because
People are taking it lightly.
when you talk about it, conference game, I do. It's more significant than that Clemson game.
Oh, definitely.
Mhm.
And Clemson and Arkansas are much more significant than any games JT Daniels started last year, because by the time he came in, Florida was running away with the East. You played Mississippi State that had like 40 dudes on their roster,
Yep.
a decimated South Carolina team. Who am I missing in there? Because he played 4 games. He had Cincinnati in there as
Cincinnati, yeah.
well. You didn't play Georgia Tech last year. I'm missing
Right.
somebody in there.
Yeah, it's
But
somebody. Is it Vandy? No?
Missouri played well against
Okay.
Missouri.
There you go.
But I mean, this is a top 10 matchup in conference at home.
Yeah. No, it's well, and like you said, much more again, much more important because of that conference matchup, and it's the biggest game because any game he was in at USC might have been important for that little blip in
I
time.
will say, I
but-
remember watching in, I guess it was 2018 when he was playing and they were playing Notre Dame, and he gave Notre Dame everything they wanted.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And because a lot of people were rooting for USC to knock Notre Dame out of the playoffs because
Right. But still, at that,
Lame.
like, you're still playing spoiler. You're playing underdog. You're not really fighting for anything. For you, of course, you're hoping for a big
there's no
win,
pressure.
but there's no
Never
pressure
has
on
money.
that. There's no if we don't win this, we don't go to the Pac-12 championship. It's just I want to play spoiler, which is sometimes a great role to be in, but there isn't the kind of weight on it that there is with this Arkansas game.
It's going to be a fun game. We're going to talk about it some more. I want to talk more about the Ole Miss Alabama game coming up. There's some other
Yeah.
big games in the SEC coming up. I think ESPN said it. There's about 6 prove it games for some teams out there. I think for Arkansas and for Georgia, you can call this one a prove it game. I'd say the same for Alabama and Ole Miss going against each other. It's prove it games because look at Alabama's schedule. Who have they really played so far? They beat Florida at home. I think they have the most or the biggest win of anybody in college football right now outside of Oregon.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, outside of Oregon. Yeah, that was a huge win.
Yeah,
That was a huge win.
it was huge,
But
but
it's weird because we look at Alabama and just because they're Alabama, we look at that Florida win and we're like, are they shaky?
yeah, right.
Which is lame.
Yeah,
Oh, is Bama shaky?
Yeah.
No,
yeah, no,
They
I-
beat,
I
they
just don't
beat
think so.
Florida at the Swamp.
a good Florida team.
Right.
Florida's pretty
But
good.
for whatever reason, it doesn't feel like they've had that statement game yet.
right.
This might
Right,
be
which
it.
I think
I think this is it for both these teams. But like I think you got to be careful with the whole prove it thing because I feel like you can kind of go back over the course of the season, especially this early, and yeah,
No,
Yeah,
keep
it's
going,
awesome.
PJ.
no, and somewhat say that about a lot of teams. Like,
Mhm.
okay, you have this win, but was it really that big? Like even for I think these are a lot like the matchup with Penn State and Auburn, where it's like, okay, you got that win, but I mean, was Auburn really that good? Is Penn State really that good? Like with Georgia, you go back to Clemson. We were saying
It's everybody.
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm
It's
saying.
NC State good. They beat North Carolina or they beat Clemson,
After losing to Mississippi
but they
State,
got boat raced 24-10.
Yeah.
By Mississippi State.
Mississippi
We're
State
gonna find out a
controls that
lot
game.
this week, man.
and then Mississippi
We
State
are.
loses to USC. So like
USC.
I don't or LSU. So like
I have a better question for you.
I don't think
It's not who is good. What is good?
no one
Oh,
really
here we
knows.
go.
But like I think it's less of prove it games for these teams and more just big important games. I don't think like these are huge turning point type moments in your
I
season.
love this college football season.
I
this
think
will
it's
be-
incredible. Yeah.
It'll be one of the best ones this year by far.
Well, we're gonna,
We'll get to that next.
Cam's
next
sending us to
segment.
break there.
Yeah.
Look, again, uncommon and unfinished. The Ben Troop story is available for purchase right now. You can get your hard copy wherever books are sold. You can order the digital copy or the hard copy online, Amazon, Target. Just Google uncommon and unfinished. Click the little shopping tab. The Ben Troop story. You don't want to miss it. Very reasonable price as well. I think you can get the digital copy for $9.99. I mean, go out there, get the Ben Troop story. It's a phenomenal read. BJ Bennett and Ben did an amazing job on this. Again, uncommon and unfinished. You can purchase it online. We'll be right back after this. 2 massive games. You know what? 3. I don't want to be disrespectful.
What?
3 massive games
All
coming.
right.
They're all big,
Are we supposed to guess?
but 3
This is
massive games. Well, do you guys know? I mean, you should know. You got obviously Ole Miss at Alabama. You have Arkansas at Georgia. That's a top 10 matchup. There's another top 10 matchup.
Oh man.
Iowa, Penn State.
No, that's
No,
not
that's
this.
not
That,
it.
no, that's
No,
not
Penn-
this
You
week.
don't think PJ would know about Iowa Penn State, Cam?
That's next week.
Yeah,
This
that's
week
true.
we get
Yeah.
our revenge on Indiana.
Another top 10 matchup.
This is disrespectful as hell.
Yeah, my bad. Is it like Pac-12 or?
Definitely
Uh,
Pac-12.
I honestly
no, put
don't
your
know.
phones away.
I've
You
had so
cheaters.
much focus on these
Okay,
two
okay,
games,
okay,
right?
okay. I'm trying to
And
think.
like you said, like yesterday was my day off.
It's not Oregon.
All the
Oregon's number
excuses
3.
start
I don't
coming
even
out.
know who's number 4. Oklahoma
Watching these guys, who would they be playing?
And one in the Big 12.
Is in the top 10
in the Big 12.
outside of
No,
Oklahoma?
All right,
No,
let's take
Oklahoma
it.
plays K-State.
Is there a?
Why do you know Oklahoma's schedule so well, Cam?
I like Spencer Rattler, but they're going to lose to K-State.
Is there another SEC team in the top 10? Like is Florida?
No,
No.
but there
Florida,
is. I mean, I guess you're not far off with your Big 12 guess.
Are they about to be in the Big
It
12?
might be
Is it Cincinnati?
at
Oh,
Notre
it says
Dame.
that. Notre Dame.
Yes.
Yeah. Just not showing any respect to neither
Number
one of
7
them.
Cincinnati at number 9 Notre Dame.
I did.
See, I didn't
that
know.
on my
I
app.
forgot Notre Dame was that high too. I'm not gonna lie,
After they just bludgeoned Wisconsin
Ah,
for 11
but they
minutes.
didn't though.
For 11
For
minutes,
11
they
minutes,
did.
that's good. That's good.
But I will say this: if Cincinnati beats Notre Dame and wins out, they might be in the top 4 this year.
I think there's
have a chance.
I'll say there's a legitimate shot, which I do feel bad for Coastal Carolina because they're undefeated as well. They're number 16 in the country, but they're also, depending on which statistician / sportsbook you follow, playing
Mhm.
the either 128th or 130th ranked schedule in college football. Like their schedule is embarrassing.
And I understand the argument against that. Like we made these schedules, we made the non-conference
no, I don't
schedules like
understand the
8 years
argument.
ago and
I
everything
don't
like
understand the
that.
argument.
But
No, nobody knew what Coastal Carolina was going to be 5 years ago when you schedule all these games out.
I get that.
And
yeah.
so it wasn't like App State runs into this sometimes, right? And Georgia Southern has run into it inside the state of Georgia,
Yeah.
where it's just like it's not worth it to play them anymore because of what they've done.
Right.
Like 5 years ago, Coastal Carolina hadn't beaten anybody.
Yeah.
Like that's why they got Kansas on the schedule,
Mhm.
right? That's why they were able to get a BYU game last year. It's because they're like, yeah, they're undefeated, but they're a little Sun Belt team, right? Nobody knew who Coastal Carolina was 5 years ago. You still should have been able to schedule out some bigger games.
Yeah.
But you're playing this weak schedule.
That's why you got, like, if you look back, you have like Boise State. They have 2 or 3 years in a row where they have big upsets, and then you look at the next 5 years, they didn't play anybody.
Yeah, nobody, unless they're like, and like the teams that they do play is like home and homes,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Nobody's just scheduling Boise State as that game anymore
no,
to just go out there and get a win. Whereas like you have like Georgia Southern going up to Arkansas for the money game, right?
Mhm.
Arkansas ain't coming to Paulson.
no.
You went up there just to get shellacked and take your check and come home. Boise State doesn't do that anymore
Right.
because they started whipping you and taking your money,
Yeah.
right? Coastal Carolina, that wasn't the case 4 or 5 years ago when you're scheduling these seasons out, sometimes even longer ahead than that. They just have a really crappy schedule, and it's their own fault. Like I said, you schedule these games, and you didn't go out and schedule some of these money games, some of these road games. You scheduled a bunch of bad teams.
Yeah.
And it's not even like, oh, they were good 5 years
Right,
ago,
yeah,
and
and
they're bad now. It's
yeah.
like, nah, man, you just have bad teams on your schedule.
Right. No, that's true. Understandable.
But I mean, Cam said it. I think if you look at Cincinnati, the Indiana, they had a bad loss early, and I think that kind of hurt Cincinnati because
Mhm.
Cincinnati did go in and beat Indiana, but it was a pretty close game.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Indiana,
while.
I don't think Indiana was a top 25 team when they beat them because people were counting on, hey, you can beat top 25 Indiana, and then you can beat potentially top 10 Notre Dame,
Mhm.
and all of
Yep.
a sudden you're competing for a college football playoff spot. I still think it's the case though, because look at all of the contenders that have fallen. I think for the first time in the AP poll era, which goes back to the 30s, you've had 25 top 25 teams lose
Yeah.
through 4 weeks.
Crazy.
You've had 25 ranked teams lose through 4 weeks.
Mm-hmm. I love the madness of this college football season. But you're right. I mean,
Like
and-
Clemson's done. Like that usually guaranteed spot is gone.
No,
Yeah,
it's over. I mean, you look at where they've dropped to. I mean, it wasn't just like, oh, you lost in a close game. Either, you might drop 7 or 8 spots. They dropped, like, I think in one poll they dropped 16 spots.
Who do we
It's just
we
done.
need to lose to get a G5 school in?
Honestly,
I think Oklahoma, if they lose,
No,
nobody in the Big 12 is good enough.
no, yeah,
no, I give if
you need
Oklahoma
Oklahoma
loses
to
a
lose.
game, I still think they'll get in.
you need Oklahoma and
I
Oregon.
actually-
Over an
actually-
undefeated Cincinnati.
Yeah,
Really?
yeah.
Who would their signature wins be against?
I don't know. It would. I mean, I know they
Because
have
Iowa ain't come
Oklahoma
back to the Big
State.
12.
They have
Yeah.
Oklahoma State.
Iowa State's
Baylor's
already
undefeated.
lost twice.
Hmm?
Iowa State's already lost twice.
No, I said Oklahoma State.
No, what it's saying.
Oh, Iowa State's already lost twice.
Yep.
So I mean, you still get Oklahoma State undefeated, Baylor undefeated, Kansas State on the road this week 3-1. I mean, we all know how
Cam,
that goes with the
I think West
committee.
Virginia
Again,
still only
I'm not
has one
saying
loss.
I
Go
would.
back through that schedule and recap it for me again.
I'm not saying I would, but we
Yep.
all know how the committee is, though. Oh, they have 3-4 ranked wins against Cincinnati's big win against Notre Dame, which equates to those 3 wins.
Well, watch. As soon as if Cincinnati beats Notre Dame, it was like, well, I mean, this is coming for Notre Dame. They haven't been that great to start the season.
See what I'm saying?
Right.
It's always something like that. And I'll put it like this: even though Oregon beat Ohio State, if Oregon loses a game to one of these bad Pac-12 teams,
Oh.
you'll see them drop from like 3 to 10.
Oh
Yeah.
no, Oregon has to go undefeated and win
Win.
the Pac-12.
Exactly. And that's
Completely agree.
wrong. I think that's wrong because they beat Ohio State, handled business, went on the road, beat them. If they lose and drop a game, they should be treated as such as a SEC team would or anything like that. Because it is, for one, it's a weird season. 2, they got that signature win under their belt already.
They did. I would argue against that a little bit because I think it's about who you beat, but I think
Mhm.
it's also about who you lose to. If they go out and lose to Colorado, they're done. I think it's over. If they go out and lose to a Utah or something like that, I think it's kind of over.
Putting a one-loss Oregon in over an undefeated Cincinnati?
I wouldn't. That's what I'm saying. I wouldn't because I think what you argue also, the big argument against these teams has been not only is it their schedule and what wins do they have, but also what type of team do they have? Do we think they're actually good enough to compete against the top teams in the country? And we've talked about this before.
If you want
I
to have
think
that conversation?
no,
Yeah,
that's what I'm
let's
getting
have
to.
that
If you
conversation.
get to Cincinnati and you talk about their football team, they are a very good top to bottom deep football team, not this offensive wonder that scores 70 points and doesn't have a defense or something like that. They're actually a defensive kind of led football team with
Luke
a
Fickell was the DC at Ohio State.
yeah, with the talent they have on that side of the ball, the defensive line, the linebackers playing really well. I mean, they're incredible on defense. And oh, by the way, they have a really solid offense with a really good senior, with a really good leader at quarterback that can get it done, and a solid head coach. Like, this is a good
Well, no,
program.
but let's
It's not
talk about
just
it. Like, are you looking for the 4 most deserving teams? Are you looking for the 4 most popular teams that you can get in there and get TV eyeballs on? 'Cause
That's
I
what
think,
they're
I think
looking
that's what they're
for.
looking
Well, I mean,
for.
of course.
But what they
that's-
say
yeah.
inside of their statement is we are trying to determine the 4 best teams in college football.
And this is, yeah,
So-
I've argued this for a long time. It's a combination. Like, that's what it says. But if then you go to their criteria, it's a combination of both. We think this is the best team in terms of talent and how they've played, and also most deserving based on the wins and the championships that they have.
But I mean, there's like a
it's-
legitimate chance the 4 best teams
Mhm.
reside in the SEC.
Right.
It's not.
I think that's an
legitimate.
argument every
I
year.
think that's
Yeah.
a fact.
No, but
I think that's a fact.
I think there's an argument. Like I'd have Penn State up there, but again, we haven't seen Penn State really beat anybody yet. Like, everyone points out Auburn game where Auburn took them to the wire, and then Auburn almost got beat, had to bench their starting quarterback against Georgia State, who has not been a good Sun Belt team.
But going back to what you said, I think you can say
Right.
that about everybody. You can say that about the 4 SEC teams you're talking about.
But I mean, but that's what I'm saying is Alabama, I think most people would generally consider it to be the head and shoulders best team in the country.
Yep.
Georgia, number 2,
Yeah.
right? That's where it's at.
Not arguing that.
Oregon, I think, is only number 3 because they beat Ohio State, and we don't know how good Ohio State is. They're
Right.
starting a freshman quarterback. Their defense is missing a ton of people. You're really starting to get into a Ryan Day era where it's moved away from Urban Meyer recruits completely now.
Mhm.
So you're starting to get into the Ryan Day era completely. And I don't know how good Ohio State is because they've been battling the quarterback controversies. And so like Oregon's solely number 3 based off the fact they beat Ohio State.
That's a fact.
I think if you're saying Alabama's number 1 and Florida's a missed extra point away from taking them to overtime, how good's Florida?
Number 3.
Right.
Right. So it's like
that's why I would have them.
I think there's a legitimate argument to say Alabama, Georgia, Arkansas, Ole Miss, and Florida could be the top 5 teams in the country. And there's a chance, well, it wouldn't be between Florida and Georgia, but there's a chance you could get to the end of the season with Georgia, Arkansas, Ole Miss, and Alabama all having 1 loss.
Right.
And they should all
in the
make
regular
the
season.
playoffs.
And then somebody would have to lose the SEC championship.
That's insane.
And so you could have 3 SEC teams with 1 loss.
Yeah.
Does that likely happen? No.
No.
Like Arkansas, if we're being honest, will probably lose to Georgia and probably lose to Alabama, and they'll have a really good time at the Outback Bowl, right? Like, and it'll be a really fun season. Or maybe they'll go to the Cotton Bowl, depending. We need to figure out where these
I'll put it like
we need to
this.
figure out where these damn semifinal games are.
Right.
I
That's
got
true.
I got it right here.
I
The
just
semifinals.
I don't want to live in a world with what
Cotton
you guys
Bowl and
just
the
said
Orange Bowl.
happens.
Okay.
Cotton and Orange
I
Bowl.
don't even want that place in my mind.
PJ's not a big fan of the Cotton Bowl.
No. I like the Cotton Bowl. I don't even want that place in my mind. What you guys just talked about to happen. I mean,
Well, no, but they won't do that because, like we said, it's not about determining who the 4 best teams are. That's just a fraudulent statement they put inside of their mission statement. Is they don't really determine who the 4 best teams are. They've determined who are the 4 teams will catch the least amount of flack for putting in here and also get the most eyes from around the nation on our playoff and get the most ad dollars.
So, I mean, questioning to everybody, because I think this is going to be.
No, PJ's shaking his head. I mean, do you really think Oklahoma has deserved to be there in some of these years? Do you really think Notre Dame has deserved to be there? Like, do you think they were one of the 4 best teams in the country?
No, don't put me in that box of
You're shaking
just
your head.
no. I get that. I'm shaking my head for a different reason. Don't put me in that box of like, oh yeah, I was riding for Washington when they were undefeated because they were undefeated. Like, no, they were not a good football team. They should not have been there. Ohio State got an excuse like that. I know they won the championship, but Ohio State got an excuse the first year of making it in because some of their guys were injured when they played Virginia Tech. And they jumped TCU
I think that's the flip side of it. Is I think
Baylor for no reason.
I think you could clearly, but there was a reason, and like that's one of those ones where I get that. If your statement is who's the best team out of Baylor, TCU, and Ohio State, it was Ohio State. If you're talking about who was the best team,
Yeah, they were.
it was Zeke Elliott
You sure?
and Michael Thomas.
Because I mean that team, it was TCU, I believe, that team that had beaten everybody else, and we were just talking about how good Ole Miss was before Laquan Treadwell got hurt, and they were number 2 in the country. They got rolled by TCU, rolled in their bowl game because they actually had a chance to go out there and roll somebody instead of getting chosen over by dudes in an office. But I don't know.
But it's just like you said, it's if you're going to pick something, stick with it. But also, you don't pick Ohio State that year because they deserve to go. You pick Ohio State that year because they're the brand.
Right,
Do you
exactly.
want Baylor in there? You want TCU or you want
I think
Ohio
you did
State?
a similar thing later, but
You get more eyes on
I'm
Alabama.
saying their mission
TCU
statement. I'm not
semifinal?
saying their execution has been perfect all the time. I'm saying their mission statement is not always like. I think what people read when they see best is like most talented on paper, who the players you have on the field and stuff like that. But like, yeah, sure. Well, the most talented or best team sometimes can go 9-3, and they're not going to put them in there because they went 9-3.
Right,
they lost 3
let's say
games.
this though,
Like-
because we're talking about 2007. LSU lost 2 games, both of them were in overtime. Lost
Right.
2 games, both in overtime. Went on to win the BCS national championship. If you're Arkansas and you finish this season 10-2, and your losses are at Georgia and to Alabama, BJ says this all the time. Because you lost to number 1 and number 2 doesn't mean you're not number 3.
Right. Get that?
But because for whatever reason inside of college football, we put a much higher value on a loss than any other sport. Like literally pick another sport that has more values on a loss.
Right.
And look at what Arkansas' schedule looks like.
Yeah.
Where we talked about it. They have to go to Dallas to play Texas A&M, who's a top 10 team. They have to go to Athens to play Georgia, who's a top 2 team, and then they have to go home and play Ole Miss, who will potentially be a top 3 team or could be as low as like top 12 team.
Yeah. And
we don't take that into account. We just look at the end of the season. We go, oh, Arkansas lost twice. There's no way they go.
Right. I mean, that's also been used as contributing factors to why, teams from the SEC have been able to get in as well. So, like, I think that's a bit of like,
I don't know how much this is SEC bias.
Like
I mean,
I don't
dude,
think,
if it's like,
I'm not saying that.
2007,
I'm not saying that.
If it is 2007 and we're looking at that landscape and all of a sudden it's Michigan with Chad Henne and Michael Hart and God, what was number 10's name? The quarterback for Ohio State.
I know Troy Smith.
Troy Smith,
yeah.
right? And Beanie Wells.
I'm thinking of
those dudes at Ohio State. Then all of a sudden you're talking about that not for the SEC but for the Big Ten. Right. I think it's the era in which you're playing. I think you go back to some of the early 2000s Pac-12, or I guess it was Pac-10 back then, with the USCs, right? And some of the schools out there, then you're talking about that, right? I don't think you can go back to the Mike Leach era at Texas Tech and Texas and Oklahoma. I think you can talk about the Big 12 then. I think right now the SEC is just really good.
Yeah,
and everyone else,
and
there's no
like,
certainty.
Like that's what I'm saying. I wasn't going.
Who's the best team in the Big 10 right now?
I wasn't going to an SEC bias statement in that sense. I was about to go to the kind of a conversation that we were just having with Oregon and Penn State at 4 and Iowa at 5. Like, why are all these teams there? Because they have to be right now.
Yeah.
Like, because we have to put a number on it right now, which, to be honest, I don't think this early in the season we should.
Well, and none of these numbers really matter because the only numbers that end up mattering are the college football playoff rankings, which don't come out until week 8. We got to go to a break, though.
Yeah.
We're way over. We'll come back. We'll continue this conversation next. Second Down on ESPN Radio is presented to you by the Uniform Source. PJ, I will not stand for your slander.
There was no slander. I wasn't even
not
going
stand
there.
for
You
it.
you just like
No, but right now, who? If you had to guess, what 4 teams make the college football playoff?
You go
Oh
first.
God, are you?
That's a hard question.
Looking around the landscape.
I'm on record as saying I believe that Alabama is the only
You're thinking about it too much.
really solid team we have right now. So yeah, I think it's Alabama. I really I don't
God.
I don't believe in them to,
I'm
go,
gonna
to
say-
go all the way. I'll say Oregon.
Okay.
I will say Oregon.
All right.
Clemson's already lost, so
Sure.
I think the ACC is out. I'll say that. I think the ACC's done. I think the Big 12 is going to be done. I think
Okay.
Oklahoma loses to someone, and I think they're out. Maybe this is just wishful thinking. I can't not.
Oh God.
So yeah, at number 3 you have Penn State.
Let's get after it.
I don't know. We'll see. It's either Penn State or Ohio State. It's
Do you hear
whoever
this
wins.
confidence?
It's whoever wins
is
that
leaking?
game. No.
Yeah.
It's really not because I don't believe in
Penn
Sean
State.
Clifford enough to go into Ohio State
All right.
and win. So it's Penn State or Ohio State, and then you know what?
Okay.
This is the year.
I don't know what, but I'm like I like where you're going.
Cincinnati at 4.
Okay. I mean, I think it's Georgia, Alabama. I'm going to say.
I can see that. for
I'm
sure.
going to say. Is it Pennsylvania State University?
Whoa. It's say or Ohio State. I can't deal with you believing in us that much.
No, I do, and I don't believe in Ohio State. I think they have too many issues at quarterback. Their defense is bad, and that's why I think Penn State's going to win that conference. Is I think y'all's and Iowa's defenses are about equal. They cancel each other out, but I think your offense is better.
I'd agree with that.
So-
Can we laugh at Ohio State for just a second?
Yeah.
Do you see what's going on? You know what's going on this year?
Oh.
They're doing a scarlet out for Penn
Yeah,
State.
they're wearing
week.
red pants.
Yeah,
Lame as hell. I hope
Yep.
y'all beat the hell out of them.
hopefully.
But yeah, I Georgia, Alabama. I say Alabama number 1.
Mine is
Georgia,
different.
Penn State, and I'll say Cincinnati. I think they beat Notre Dame this
Yeah.
week, and if they don't, then it's Notre Dame.
I'll say if Georgia's only loss is like an SEC
Alabama's in the
championship game,
SEC championship. Yep.
and Oregon, even if Oregon, I don't know, I can't say
Oregon's
that.
going to lose.
I can't
Oregon's
say
going to
that.
lose a stupid
If
football game.
Oregon loses a stupid football game, or even if they lose like
I'll
a
tell
ranked
you the
football
team.
game, I still think they
Yeah.
put
They lose to
Georgia in.
UCLA.
They're going to lose a stupid.
go on
No,
the
they're
road.
not going to use the UCLA.
They go on the road.
They're going to lose like
And
East,
Washington.
They're going to lose like East West Oregon State.
Nah.
And
I give you guys my quick top
Quick,
4.
go.
You know who they
Alabama,
always lose to?
Georgia, Ohio State, and
Yeah.
Oregon.
there ain't no way in hell Ohio State's making this playoffs.
Hey,
I can't.
Ohio State.
I will put dinner on it.
Dinner on it?
Yeah, there's no way. They're just.
Nah,
They're,
I'll take Ohio
they're-
State,
they're
and I'm
too
not an
low.
Ohio
Did
State
you guys
fan.
see that?
But
that-
if they could just get past Penn State, which
Yeah.
I'm rooting for Penn State.
I mean, that's the biggest
but if
thing.
they could get, yeah, it's a big if. But if they get past Penn State, they're not losing another game.
You guys see Minnesota
They're
lost
not.
to like Buffalo
no, they lost to
or something?
Bowling Green.
Yeah. That's what it was. They
My
just
favorite
completely fell
tweet
off.
was from Holly Anderson. She said Bowling Green dropped a bowling ball in their boat because they were rowing the boat.
Can we go to break?
We kind of have to. We'll be back. And they're talking. Second Down on ESPN Radio is presented to you by the Uniform Source. Got a big show coming up on 3 and Out. We'll catch up with Rich Styles, recap the U.S.'s win in the Ryder Cup. We were just in there on Kevin's phone. He was just regaling us with Bryson DeChambeau drives.
I don't watch golf.
Even though that was impressive, but Jordan Spieth's chip shot was nuts. We'll also catch up with Drew DeArmond from 977 The Zone in Huntsville, Alabama, talking Alabama Ole Miss with him. And, of course, preview what's going to be a massive series that starts tonight with Charlie Morton on the mound for the Atlanta Braves as they take on the Philadelphia Phillies. You got a 3-game home set, 6 games to go in the season, and you have a 2.5-game lead on the Philadelphia Phillies. So if you just win one, you're feeling all right going into the Mets series. Or you know what, PJ, you just go ahead and put this bad boy to bed. Sweep the Phillies.
Please
get ready for the postseason.
Please do. Please don't do this Braves thing where you win one and then not the other one, and then win another one and then not the other one. Just please, you've put us through that enough this year. Just sweep the Phillies, man.
Just do it. Just get it over with. Bryce Harper's been amazing, but you've been more amazinger.
Amen.
We're going to talk about it more. 3 and Out coming up next. BJ Bennett, Ben Troop, Kevin Thomas. If you missed any portion of the show, check it out on ESPNCoastal.com.